This is the One Girl Revolution podcast, a podcast that highlights the stories of world-changing women and girls across the country. We hope that these stories inspire you, but even more so, we hope that these stories help you to see your own value, your purpose, and your power to change the world through your life. Every woman and girl is a One Girl Revolution. Hello, and welcome to the One Girl Revolution podcast. It's your girl, Kate, here. On this week's episode of the One Girl Revolution podcast, we welcome Amy Amaradio, mama and founder of Dear Mom, a movement and community that uplifts and connects mothers raising children with Down syndrome and other differences. But the reality is, every single child has a difference. And so it's so important for mamas to come together. And this is an incredible community that is celebrating uniqueness and differences in children. I love it. Amy's story begins in Michigan, where she grew up with deep family roots, a strong faith, and a heart for connection. Later, she moved to California, where she began building her family. She welcomed 3 beautiful children, but her life changed when her son, Rocco, was born. Rocco has what Amy lovingly calls that magical extra chromosome. Like many new moms walking this journey, Amy found herself navigating the unknown, facing questions, fears, and uncertainty. But what she discovered changed everything. Friendship and connection with other mamas who understood became her lifeline. That realization that moms need one another led her to the creation of Dear Mom, a space where women can find community, hope, and belonging. What began as a simple dream soon grew into a thriving movement, complete with an annual Dear Mom conference. There's going to be conferences, just saying, 2026, heartfelt Dear Mom letters, and a growing sisterhood of women across the country and around the world who lift one another up and remind each other that they're not alone. Grounded in her faith and fueled by love, Amy's work through Dear Mom has touched countless lives, building bridges of compassion and empowerment for mothers everywhere. In this episode, Amy shares her journey from her Michigan roots to building a life and mission in California, from navigating an unexpected diagnosis to discovering the beauty of community, and how Dear Mom continues to remind women that together we are stronger, especially mamas. Together we are stronger. I am so excited and so honored to have Amy on this podcast. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Amy. Amy, welcome to the One Girl Revolution podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Kate. It's an honor to be here.
Well, it's an honor to have
Speaking with you.
Oh my gosh, it's an honor to have you. And I know we've been trying for a while to get this to work out. And so I'm so grateful for you making time and us figuring this out. And so many of your friends and so many of the women who are a part of Dear Mom have been on. And so it's just exciting to add you to the sisterhood now and share about Dear Mom.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and talking about those women, they're so incredible and inspiring, and just to be part of that and asked to be on your podcast is an incredible honor.
Well, powerful things happen when women come together, and we know that from this podcast, and we also know that with your work with Dear Mom. But before we get into Dear Mom and before we get into the conference and all the great work that you do, I would love to take a moment and just rewind and hear a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about your story before Dear Mom.
Well, I grew up in Michigan and just born and raised there. Have a huge Italian family, lots of love. And my parents, when I was younger, they divorced, so I grew up also in 2 separate households. My father, did a lot of traveling back and forth from Michigan to California, and that's why I ended up out there. Just always had a love for California. Always do one day that I would be out there. And fast forward, I met my children's father, and And that's kind of where the journey began. Became pregnant with my son, Rocco, who at the time I didn't know was going to be a surprise diagnosis. During my pregnancy, I had preeclampsia. There was just a lot of issues. I was in, my mid 30s. And at that time, the doctors would call it, which they do now, as like high risk. So we chose not to do any testing beforehand. My stance was always, no matter what, it's my child, and I'm going to love it, like, no matter what. But I never thought that I would be the one to have a child with a diagnosis. Every single ultrasound was really positive. The baby was growing. There wasn't really anything, but our doctor, um, every ultrasound would say, "Oh, do you see that?" And, we'd say yes. And it was a little white speck. And I just would always say, "Oh, is there anything we should be concerned about?" And at the time, he was like, "No, no, everything's fine. Baby's growing. Everything's healthy, looking good." And, closer to mid pregnancy, you know, I, I asked that question again because he said the same thing every single time with the ultrasound. And he was just loved my doctor, but he he just simply just looked at me and said, "Well, would it make a difference if there was something?" And I just said no. And then he just said, "Okay, well then there's really nothing to worry about." And but always in the back of my mind, I always thought, what if? Just because that was coming up at every single ultrasound. And throughout my pregnancy, I would have these like vivid dreams. And, even before we found out that we were going to have a boy, I would have these vivid dreams of my child with just a little bit longer hair. And if anybody knows my son Rocco, he still has a little bit of long hair. But during my pregnancy, those dreams were so vivid, but I never could see my child's face. And I just get chills like thinking about this. Even up until like, I was about to get closer to my due date, I had this dream where I just was looking at myself and my son holding hands, walking from behind. And again, I still couldn't see his face. And I really feel like looking back that that was just the Lord preparing me for my son's diagnosis at birth. And the night before my water broke, I had this vivid dream where I actually gave birth and saw my son. And it was like a moment of surprise. And then I woke up, stood up, and my water broke. And then it was like, get to the hospital, get to the hospital. Um, during that time when I was in labor, everything was fine. And I was supposed to give birth to my son on the 19th of December. It ended up going into December 20th, which was incredibly amazing because December 20th is my father's birthday. So I thought, oh my gosh, that would be so incredibly special. Our son's going to be born on his, Papa's birthday. And of course, that wasn't planned at all. But it ended up being he was born on December 20th. But right before I was about to give birth, everything kind of like went wrong, and I ended up having a seizure right before I was about to give birth. I don't remember having the seizure, but what I do remember is waking up, having a room full of doctors and nurses, and just wondering like what is going on. I couldn't speak. And I remember this beautiful nurse with these like beautiful like blue eyes come right to my face and say, "Amy, you're going to be okay, but you have to push." It was to the point where it was too late. Like I had to like wake up and get ready and push right after a seizure. And she just said to me, she's like, "Do you?" She's like, "Do you remember how to hold your breath?" Because nobody knew at that time where I was at because I had just woken up from a seizure. And I just remember just staring at her, and then she was trying to like do the motion of like holding your breath and to help me kind of like push. And I don't know how I did it. I just feel like the Lord had his hand on that entire moment, and I pushed and Rocco came out, and uh, right after that, I just passed out again. And and then I remember waking up, and I don't know what really came over me, but I just knew just to kind of like turn my head. And I turned my head, and there was my son on, on the is it the incubator? So
Yeah.
and um looking over, I glanced and I knew in my heart, that I think he has Down syndrome. The doctor came over, my children's father came over, and you know, I knew by the looks of their faces, looks like they had been like teary-eyed, and I just was just preparing my heart for that moment. And they just, the doctor said, "It looks like, your child has the slight characteristics of possibly having Down syndrome." And Rocco then was rushed to the NICU, and I was rushed. They had to do testings on me. And so it was that whole moment of not really having that moment of holding my baby, which was really hard. Also, the moment of like realizing that I just had a seizure. I still felt like I really couldn't like really talk, and us being separated. It was just it was a lot at that moment for me, just kind of taking it all in. Um, and of course, the doctor's trying to figure out, okay, what happened? Are you okay? And doing all those testings on me, which was not fun at all. And during that time, the head geneticist was not at the hospital, and we would have had to wait like I think it was a good 2-3 days until his diagnosis was confirmed. During that time, I would visit, go up to the NICU, and it was it made me feel really good that I didn't have to leave our son because I was also, a patient. And but during that time, it was just a lot of processing. It was a lot of unknowns. It was fear. Um, and also, I prayed a lot. And this is something that I've had to learn to forgive myself for, and give myself grace. Um, because during that time, I prayed to God, and I just said, "Lord, please, please, please do not let my son have Down syndrome." And again, that was just based off of fear. I didn't realize that I hit the jackpot. And having a child with Down syndrome is just the most incredible, incredible thing that you could even be. I mean, incredible thing that the Lord could ever bless a family with, right? That the Lord chose me to be my son's mommy is mind blowing. He knew that I would be the best mommy for our son. So, that was just a lot of fear, and I cried, and my family came. They were so supportive, and they're like, "I mean, everything's going to be okay. Your son's healthy." Everyone was super positive. And I think it was just me, like during that moment, just with all the unknowns, just like, "Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? If he does have it, like, how am I going to be able to raise him? How are we going to be able to raise him? Like, what does that look like? What is his life going to look like?" Again, it was just all of those unknowns, all of those fears. Going back, it was all about me, not thinking about the blessing that the Lord just gave me. And I do, I've given myself a lot of grace because it was a surprise, diagnosis, I I let fear take over the joy at the moment. I didn't have that moment in the hospital where you're just like celebrating, and it was a lot of trauma for me, from the seizure, from just everything and the unknowns. And at the time he was born in 2013, so there wasn't really a lot of like, I mean, social media, like what Instagram, what did Instagram start? What,
Right.
in 2012, I think? And
Yeah.
really, I wasn't really in that space, um, knowing knowing and seeing other families that have children with Down syndrome. I had never even met an adult with Down syndrome. So there wasn't a lot of that. And so that was the space that I was sitting in. And, you know, I still have that sadness. I had very few like photos in the hospital.
Mhm.
And if it was now, I mean, I probably would have like 500 photos. And, and then, fast forward those few days later, the head geneticist came in and confirmed that Rocco does have Down syndrome. And that was just a moment of, okay, now what, you
Mhm.
know? And I'm going to do this, and it's going to be okay. I just kept saying to myself, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
Mhm.
There wasn't any doubt. Like, I had love for my son, I loved him. I think it was just more, it wasn't what I had planned for him. I mean, we all have plans for our children, but it never ends up
Right.
what we want. And really, it was just the Lord saying, oh no, Amy, I got you.
Well, we
I have a
all
plan for you. I have a
right.
plan for your son.
We all have plans like for what we think, right? I think any mama like going into the hospital, even like being pregnant, it's like you start planning all of these different things and then no matter what, like to your story, it's like there are going to be surprises. Life is full of surprises, but I love now, Amy, how you're able to use your own story and your own journey with Rocco and your own journey as a mama to help others. You sharing your story and like you brought up social media. Now I feel like there are so many moms and individuals with Down syndrome, whether it's children or others that have these different social media pages, and it's sort of normalized Down syndrome, or it's normalized differences, right? At the end of the day, we're all different. We all have our quirks. We all have our different things that we have to deal with. And that was something
Yes.
like my mom would always tell my siblings and my brother has autism. And that was kind of her way of saying, like, Peter has autism, but you all have your own different things. And that's
Right.
so important in our world. Um, and so I love that so many people, yourself included, have been able to utilize social media to really pull back the curtain and say, like, let's tell our stories. Let's give the space for our children to tell their stories and make other families feel not so alone. Because I'm sure yourself, like being in the hospital, first of all, you were going through so much. You had so much thrown at you. I'm like, listening to you tell your story about like your seizure and then your birth, Rocco's
Yes.
birth, and then like having this surprise diagnosis. So many things are being thrown at you. But it's so important for other moms not to feel so alone because I'm sure at that moment, you didn't even know what Down syndrome meant. And I think people don't really know until they experience it. And now it's like, I think the word that I always think about with anyone with Down syndrome is joy because they bring so
Yes.
much joy to the world. And I think I said that to Ellen when she was on. It was like, there's just such a joy that children with Down syndrome bring to our world. The world tells women and girls that they don't matter, that one woman, one girl can't be a revolution. But that's not true. Every woman and every girl is a one girl revolution. Join the Every Woman, Every Girl campaign today by posting a video or graphic on social media telling us why you are a one girl revolution. Tag us, collab with us on Instagram, and shout out a woman or girl who inspires you. Tell us who is a one girl revolution in your life. Together, we are lifting voices, telling stories, and reminding every woman and girl who she really is. Follow along, share your story, and be a part of the movement. Because when every woman and every girl rises, the whole world changes. Join us today at onegirlrevolution.com. That's the number onegirlrevolution.com. Tell me about Rocco. So you get that surprise diagnosis and then you go home. What was that experience like, kind of growing alongside Rocco?
I'll definitely say like the first year of Rocco's life was an adjustment for me. I still went through the morning stages. Again, like remember, fast forward, this is or rewind. I mean, this was back in 2013. I didn't have my phone looking at Instagram, looking at all these incredible like moms advocating, shouting the worth of their children. It was just all so much for me. I just didn't have that. And I still was trying to like figure it out. One of my friends said, "Oh, Amy, you have to get this book. It's by Bloom by Kelly Hampton." And that was the first book that I read, and that was a book where I felt like I could relate, and I felt like, wow, like I'm not alone on this. Like she actually felt that way too, and it definitely gave me comfort. And I love Kelly Hampton, by the way. And it was just a great book because at that moment, I that's the book that I needed, and it really just helped me like also draw like closer to my son and just really taking those moments, loving on him, and at the time he was just a bundle of joy. Uh, but I also didn't realize that right in our backyard was um, an early intervention program. I mean, what are the chances? Literally right down our street in Laguna Beach. And I didn't even know that. And um, at the time, my children's father was like, "Hey, guess what I just found out?" And I was like, "Oh wow, no way." I'm like, "No way, that's great. That's not for me." And he kept nudging me like, "Amy, this is really good. This is something that we actually should do where they offer therapies and singing for the baby's birth through year one, and then at the end they have like a parent therapy session." And I think that was a part too. I was like, "Oh, I can't go in a group, and I just can't do this. This isn't for me." I'm more of an introvert. I mean, I can definitely I'm more of like, I think, a social introvert, but I think that was just stretching me. I'm like, like, here, just I'm juggling enough here. And I don't think I can, go into like a group and, and open up and share my feelings. Like, I can't do that. And one day he just was like, "Okay, well then I'm going to go and I'm going to take him." And then it was just that moment of, "Oh, well, you can't go and not me. I'm the mom." So, so we went, and I remember walking into the room. They had this beautiful, like, colorful rainbow circle, and all the parents were there with their little babies, singing together. And it was just a moment of, I can't believe I'm here and I'm doing this. And it was overwhelming. And I was thinking, like, is this my new normal? And we went through the whole therapy. We went in, also did the therapy. And while the parents are in the therapy session, they have, grandmas throughout the community that come in and rock the babies. I mean, it's just the most incredible program. It's through the Assistance League of Laguna Beach. And uh, they're just that whole program just changed my life. At the end of the therapy session, I cried. I did a lot of crying. All the parents that were there during that year of us being there, um, you know, I was definitely a crier. I was able to ended up sharing a lot, and it just became a beautiful bonding moment between all of us parents, and navigating like what our new normal is, and knowing that it's okay that you go through like morning stages. And because we all go through it at like different times, it might not be all of the stages. I definitely had all the stages. But um It was beautiful, but at that end of that session, I was so convicted, and I was like, "What was I doing? Why did I wait so long?" And this is exactly what I needed. This is exactly where the Lord wanted me to be. And everything shifted. I was like, "Okay, I got to get on this. I got to get on the therapies. I have to just, put all my focus on my son, and we're going to do this." During the journey from birth through 3 years of age, I met some of the most incredible families, moms that are still walking alongside me, and also just grateful for the community that I live in.
Community is so important, right? In anything in life, but also to help you not feel so alone. And I know that you have really found such an incredible community and you've built so much of a community through Dear Mom. And so, yeah, I think it's such an important lesson for anyone, whatever you're going through, but even moms, a lot of times it can be so isolating, living at home, being at home with your kids, right? Being at your home with your kids. And I know now you're navigating a different chapter where you're a single mom. Um, and because you and your children's father are no longer together. And so, like, navigating that and saying, like, okay, the kids are here this weekend and like moving along. But we all need that community to have other people that are like, hey, this is how I dealt with that. Or this is how, this is what I know, right? Nobody's story is the same. And even with children with Down syndrome, right? Every kid is so different and their experience is so different and their mom's experience is so different. But we need to have that community to say, hey, this worked for me, or this is how I navigated that.
Yes, yes, 100%. Community is so important. And that actually goes back to the story of what sparked me for starting Dear Mom.
Yeah, tell
Um,
that story.
yes, it's such a fun story. So, my friend, Liz with Ruby's Rainbow, uh,
Love her.
was going to start a retreat, and at the time, when I was invited, and they were just testing it out, and I was invited, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I can, because at that time, I had just recently given birth to Rocco's sister Gemma, and I still was nursing her, and I just didn't really want to be away from our family at that time. But I just kept getting nudged. Come on, you got to go. It's going to be great. It's going to be all of us moms, all of us special needs moms, and we're going to get away. And Amy, you need this. And I was like, okay, well, I have to bring my daughter. I'm nursing her. And she's at the time not taking a bottle. And I was like, can I bring her? Well, they ended up making an exception. And I think that was the last year that they've ever made that exception. And yeah, I brought her, and it was easy because she was just so little and I just would wear her. But that weekend, I met today my dearest friends, and it's so incredible because the women there that I'm talking about are part of Dear Mom. They sit on the advisory board, and I met Amanda Booth there. I met Liz Plancha. I met Lisa Eicher. I met Oakley Peterson, and so that was like the crew that I actually got to meet, and I met so many other incredible, amazing women there. Um, you know, uh, Katie with a little something extra, and just so many. Amber with um, I could just go on. But I mean, this group of women were exactly like what I needed, that I didn't know that I needed, and during that entire time, we would share, we would open up, and they had a speaker come and share, like, how did this what did this weekend mean to you? What's one word? And my word was safe. And and I go back to that word because that weekend I felt like it was a safe space. Like, I could be vulnerable. I could open up. Never did I think that I needed like a group of like women, I tend to like keep to myself, and um, sometimes it's hard for me to open up. But that weekend, it was just like floodgates opened up, and I was like, this is exactly what I needed. Um, and it definitely changed me. And I'm so forever grateful that I was invited as like the test group for the start of that incredible retreat. Um, and then when I got home, it's so wonderful to be back with your family, but it just sparked something where it's like, wow, like I didn't realize I needed that. There must be like other women that are just like me that really don't realize that they need something like this. But for me, it was more, well, how can I start something, or how can I do something, but maybe not take as much time away from the family, because I know not that just doesn't work for everyone. Not everyone is able to just go away for 3 or 4 days. And uh, and so that was kind of where it started. I'm like, well, what if I just do a 1 day thing, a 1 day of connection and respite. And at the time, I had gone to so many like different like conferences within the Down syndrome community, and they're all incredible, so fun. The focus, though, was on the child with a disability. It was like all clinical, but still they had like fun things, afterwards, of the breakout sessions, that were just so incredible. But for me, like during the sessions where it was like clinical and you're like learning all these things and you're trying to soak it in, at the end of the day, for me personally, it felt like, okay, how can I take any of these tools? There's so many. How can I apply them when I get home? And for me, it took like a lot out of me. I didn't feel recharged, but that was probably too because I still was earlier on, and you're so overwhelmed with all the things that a snapshot of looking ahead of like what you have to do for your child, and just from doctors to therapies. And so after that retreat, I was like, well, I don't think there's anything like this. And, you know, I think this might be a really good thing. And so that that's where the spark started. And we had our first conference in 2018. And I had a background in hospitality and events. And so for me, it was just I had the people, it was easy for me, and it was also a passion. I was like, oh, I love this. This is great. I'm gonna make it, we're gonna make it different. We're gonna make it as beautiful as possible. Like when the moms walk in, I just want them just to feel like, this day is just for them. As moms, I feel like we need more than just Mother's Day. Mother's Day sometimes ends up just being like where you're just, you're doing things. Actually, you end up doing things for your kids. So this day is like, no, I really want it to be just for moms. Like we're not offering childcare because I and we still don't, because a lot of people will ask that question. It's because, no, I want you, when you come, I want you to be fully present. If you have your child in childcare and you're at that same event, you're always thinking, oh, I got to go check on my child. I hope my child's okay. And I wanted this day to be where the moms are fully present, taking the day just for them. Like it's not for anybody else. It's just for you, and it's okay. And so it's a day of like inspirational speakers, women within our community sharing their stories. And I wanted moms to know that they're not alone on this journey,
Mm-hmm.
because at the time when I still was figuring out the first year of Rocco's life, it was kind of isolating for me. I didn't really realize, though, I also was isolating myself because I was also like trying to like protect my son in a way. Um, yes, social media was around 2013, but I did not share my son on social media. It was, I think, over a year. It was the first time I shared my son. I was that protective of him. Um, I didn't even travel to like Michigan. My family didn't even see a picture of him. I just was like, no, I'm not sharing. I want to protect him. I didn't know how the world would accept him. Even though I had all this love in my community, I was like, no, I'm not putting him out there. And the Jerome Ledoux Foundation, they used to do, and I'm sure they probably do, still do. We were fortunate enough to meet the president and the U.S. chapter at that time, and he shared with me, he's like, Amy, um, we do these newsletters, and we highlight children with Down syndrome. He's like, we'd love to have Rocco on. And I was like, it's like, because that was during the time of like not sharing. I didn't say that to him. I said, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I kept holding it off. And you know, it was just a moment that I had where I'm like, you know what, I'm ready to share. And I shared him on that newsletter, and the outpouring of love that I received was just overwhelming. And that was eye-opening for me, because it was like, again, a moment of, why was I trying to hold him back from the world seeing this incredible little boy, and that his life is worth something, and he's of value, and he's so incredibly special, and he just brings me so much joy. And that was a moment when I'm like, okay, I gotta start a page. And that was when, after that, I started like advocating and sharing my son. And I started his Rocco's Rad Life page, because I was like, his life is rad. And that was in 2013. So but the page name is still the same, or the handle. And yeah, and so that's kind of the start of what sparked starting Dear Mom, the journey of getting into advocacy, and sharing the world with my son, that having Down syndrome is not a bad thing. It's a blessing. This is how he was born. This is God's design. Rocco has a plan. I have a plan. We all have a plan, but Rocco's life matters, and he has a plan, and he has a purpose. And it's just, what an incredible ripple effect that it's had, where the Lord knew that I needed to have Rocco, because he had so much more planned for me. And to be able to give back to our community, to the moms. And I love supporting women. Women need to be supported. Girls need to be supported. And it's so important.
Well, even what you talked about with Rocco, and a big heart of One Girl Revolution is, of course, world changing women and girls, right? We believe that every single woman and girl can
Yeah.
change the world. But even deeper than that is, each and every one of us, not just women and girls, we're as unique as our fingerprint, right? And our story needs to be imprinted onto the world. And so there's so much in life that we can be fearful of. And it's like fear of the unknown, like even you sharing about, like, well, I'm not
Right.
sharing Rocco's story. But then the second you just were like, okay, I'm not going to be afraid anymore. I think of Macaulay Culkin
Yeah.
in Home Alone. I'm not afraid anymore. The moment that you had that, and
Yes.
that's a lesson to all of us, right? We have moments in our life where we're just
Yes.
afraid of what could be, but we think in the negative sense, and it's like, imagine what could be. And that's what Dear Mom is to me.
Yes.
It's like you're working alongside these mamas and saying, like, don't be afraid, like, don't be afraid anymore, like, imagine what could be, imagine what's possible, and how different our lives would look if we actually embraced that. So on that note, talk about Dear Mom. I know that you have this incredible conference, you shared a little bit about it. What makes Dear Mom unique in your eyes? And talk about some of the ways that you're really building this support system around the mamas and helping them build community and confidence.
At the time, there wasn't really anything like that within our community, where it was a conference just focusing on the mom, like just focusing on herself. And that's where I felt like it was needed within our small space. And our community is small. Um, it's small, but it's mighty, I say. Uh, and so I think that's what, made us unique. Also, like the feeling. It's a feeling when you come to one of our conferences where uh, someone shared, Amy, it's dear mom is like walking into you know, a warm hug, because it's all of the moms that like we follow each other. We maybe not have met in person, but like we know each other's lives, and which is the amazing part about social media. But we have moms come in from all over the country, nationally and internationally. Um, and I also make sure like our speakers, we change, every year. And I fly in speakers all over the country and internationally to give these moms an opportunity to hear these incredible women speak. And you know, the the space is just, I make it beautiful, I make it inviting. It's a safe space. It's a space for moms to connect, to build community, to find their tribe, however you want to say it, to find their people. Like there's nothing more powerful, and I've even said this actually, during our conference. There's nothing more powerful than a room full of women supporting each other. And I mean, it's a powerful feeling. Uh, Supporting each other, and women that like get it, you know, any special needs moms. So I mean, special needs moms, like we do have this connection. We understand like the hard, the good, the beauty, the it's the tough days. We understand the therapies, the doctor's appointments, the specialists. So when you're surrounded by women who get it, it's just it's a beautiful feeling. Um and when I see the moms come in and walk into the conference, and I see I see like weight lifted off their shoulder, like wow, like this day is for me, wow, this is beautiful. And that's what really dear mom is about. It's about supporting the mom. It's giving them that day that they need to fill their cup, to reset, to come back being, recharged and being the best version of themselves. Um, it's a day of like self-care. You're hearing women share their stories that you could relate to. And I make sure that I have topics that are really what women like need to hear. Like last year we had, a topic on loss. And one year we had a breakup session just for like single moms and dual diagnosis. And I want moms to find moms that, a step further, that can connect like even more. And like we even uh had moms like, they wore like buttons of their children, just so, it's like all of us moms, like we kind of know like, oh, we it's like we know the children more than we know the moms. But it's just a beautiful day of connection, and that's really what I want for dear mom. And we are definitely shifting towards also like wellness, and just making sure the mom or the woman itself is feeling supported. Like what can we do? What can we take it like a next step further? Every year I try to make it better. And that's, the whole day while I'm there, I'm trying to be present and connect with the moms. But at the same time, you know, my head's already thinking of the next year, and oh, we're going to do this. Oh, we're not going to do this. And we, for a few years, we had moms say, "Hey, we need to have breakout sessions," and I was like, "Well, how's that going to look like?" Because it's really a day of respite, and we gave it a try, and now we're doing, not only do we have speakers, we have two breakout sessions in the morning and the afternoon. Um, we also, part of Dear Mom is we're home of the Dear Mom letter. And that's where we started in 2018. That's part of our name, where moms write letters to each other to encourage each other, and they all start with Dear Mom. And that's where our name came from, and sharing those letters. So we have speakers, and we have also moms sharing their Dear Mom letters on the stage, encouraging each other and uplifting each other. And then we have the breakout sessions. I also am a big advocate of supporting self advocates and supporting the arts. And Laguna Beach is home of the arts. And we have our conference every year in Laguna Beach at the Festival of Arts. And there's just a junior art exhibit with beautiful walls. And I was like, we need to just add on. And we have our Dear Mom art exhibit, where I have special needs artists, where this is actually their profession. It's not, something they do in school, or it's not like, oh, wow, I think my child is super talented. I pick artists that this is their profession. They have a website, they sell their artwork. Their artwork is in, art exhibits, which is sometimes it's hard for them actually to get in. And that's where I was like, you know what? We have this space, this is our community, why not highlight? So it's a handful selection of artists, and I have their artwork professionally hung. We share a little bit. Those artists are invited for the day to share their work, and these artists are so incredible. A percentage of the proceeds go back to support Dear Mom, and that's just from their heart. And then they have a space where they can showcase what their abilities are and their talents. And I mean, these artists are so talented. So we also have that. And then this past year, and this is another whole topic. I love partnering with other organizations, with other businesses that are like-minded and that believe in our mission. Uh, and it's not about like, well, what can I get? It's about, well, what can I do for you? And let's collaborate. And we've got a room full of women. I mean, that's just like the buying power, right? Like, let's get some partnerships of, like, brands that support women, that are, makeup, whatever it is, like women within our community that have been inspired by their children, that have started businesses. And so we also have exhibit booths that we started in 2022, where we have like self-advocate businesses, organizations that align with our mission, other just women-run businesses. And we have, about, 40 to 50 vendors during our conference. So the moms also have time to shop and connect. And then this past year, we partnered with an incredible brand named Olivia. And what she does is she collaborates with artists, going back to the arts, and she uses their artwork and puts it on a clothing line. And to me, I was like, we need to do that for Dear Mom. I'm like, it just complements. We're doing the art exhibit, any way that we can also, any way that I can also, or our organization can also highlight self advocates, is super important. The day is still about the moms, but let's just throw it in just a little bit, right? And so we partnered with Olivia and Grace Place Art, and we put together this like time capsule. And uh, Giovanna, founder and owner, I was like, hey, can we also do this and this? And she was so loving and kind. And I think like I was throwing too many ideas, but we ended up, she added the first time in her clothing line, like a handbag. And she was so gracious, and she donated the handbags to all the moms. And that's part of our conference, where all the moms, like, they receive a really special gift. And it's important that they go home with a gift and they feel loved and supported. And so we did that. And then we, at the end of the conference, we also make sure that we have time for the moms to connect. And because it's so important, that's really about the whole day, is connection and uplifting each other, and finding your community. We have what's called a mingle hour, and where the moms get to, like, just talk and, have appetizers and desserts. And, one year we had drinks and now we don't. and, uh, and then it just started morphing. Like we had like this like dance party and I was like, oh yeah, we need to, that was in 2022. It was so fun. And so I was like, okay, every year at our mingle hour, we're gonna have we're gonna have a dance party. And okay, I'm gonna take it a step further. And John, who I just love, I feel like he's part family, John Tucker, who I met through the show that our family was on, Born This Way. And he's a rapper and he has Down syndrome and he's incredible and he's an actor, he's an advocate, he's all of that and more. He partnered with DJ Him and I was like, you guys have to come and you need to host the mingle hour. And it's just fun. It's just, for me, I love collaborating, I love making things better, and the mingle hour is just so fun. You dance, we also have self advocate speakers too, so they're part of it. And it's just an hour of just eating, dancing, connecting, and it's a fun way to end the conference. And because it's a long day, but you know what, you just got that one day, let's just make it amazing. And that's kind of like the day of Dear Mom, and I just get so excited about it every year. I change it up too, as far as like the colors, and it's just fun for me.
Every woman, every girl. The world tells them they don't matter, but we know the truth. Every woman and every girl is a one girl revolution. Through the Every Woman, Every Girl campaign, we're telling powerful stories, lifting voices, and reminding women and girls everywhere of their worth, their purpose, and the power that they hold to change the world. But we can't do it without you. Your donation helps us share more stories, reach more women and girls, and change more lives. Join the movement today. Support the campaign. Donate at onegirlrevolution.com/donate. That's the number onegirlrevolution.com/donate. Because when every woman and every girl rises, the whole world changes. It looks so beautiful and
Yeah.
so fun, even in the pictures and all the videos and everything that you post about it. And obviously, I'll put the website so people can go. I want to encourage any of the mamas who are out there to go and attend. And obviously,
Yes.
people can support in so many different ways. But before we get into all of that, Amy, I'd love to hear maybe a story. I know you have your own experiences of being at Dear Mom, and you see so many different connections happening and so many different women supporting one another, connecting for the first time, maybe at the conference. But can you share a story or two of someone who went to Dear Mom and their life was changed that really kind of illustrates the power of the work that you're doing?
That's a hard one. There's so many stories. I don't think I could like just narrow it down to one, because at the end of the conference, I have women just coming up to me, crying, giving me hugs, saying, Amy, I'm so grateful. This day is exactly what I needed. Thank you and your team for and your organization for putting this on. It's just, sometimes it's not a story. It's just about their reaction and what that day has given them. And like I said, there's just so many where they're just like, you have no idea, this changed my life. Now I feel like I'm not alone. I really felt seen at this conference. I I I feel like I've got this now. And because there's women like that come to our conference with just a newly diagnosis, that are still navigating, that are brave enough to come. Uh, and some, I've invited, but they just weren't ready, but they came the following year. And there's some like, you know, 3 years down in the journey. There's some like in, further along. Some have children with like in adulthood. So there's just so many different, like it's not just for the young moms, it's we welcome all moms because moms further along the journey, they're such a blessing and I want them to attend because when you have that mix at a table, it's like we can all really like support each other. And so just the amount of stories that I hear as far as like thank you and this person led me to this person and this I found hope here, or thank you so much for this, this vendor I was able to connect here. And it's just there's so many. um, Also, not just at the conference but throughout the year, when we have moms, send us their dear mom letters, it's just these stories are just so inspiring, so encouraging, and it's a real blessing to be able to be part of that, and to know that dear mom is making a difference for these women. And I'm so honored to be part of that just to be part of that, just to give a space for these women to be able to share their stories, to be able to connect, and to be able to find community. And our letters are a part of that. Our dear mom letters are a part of that. The day is a part of it. And there's just so many exciting things ahead for dear mom in 2026.
Well, tell me
And
that. What's ahead for 2026 and how can people get involved in your work and how can they support it? So give me give me the
Well,
2026.
yeah, 2026 is just, for years, I've been wanting us to grow. Like our first year in 2018, we did a conference in Laguna Beach and in Utah, and that was just so beautiful. 2019, we stayed in Laguna Beach. Then, a couple years off with the pandemic. Unfortunately, we chose not to do anything virtual because Dear Mom is all about in person and connection. And so, from 2022 to 2025, I knew we had to grow. There's such a need. I have moms from all over the world saying, Amy, please bring dear mom here. And we have nothing. And what can I do? Like, how can how can we bring dear mom out here? And it's just been weighing heavy on my heart. It's just, for me, it was all about like raising money and making it happen and not shortchanging the day just to bring dear mom out there. Like it has to be what it is here. That's what dear mom is, because those moms deserve it. So I just said I'm gonna make it work for 2026. We're gonna have a second conference, and I'm really excited about it. The location is amazing, so that will be announced soon.
Okay.
We're still going to have our conference in Laguna Beach because that's just so amazing, and that's on April 18th, 2026. Our second conference is going to be in the fall, which I'm super excited about. And really, for Dear Mom, really, the plan is, to reach as many moms as possible. Um, East Coast, West Coast, Central, you know, hit it nationally, and then the goal is international. And that's my passion. That's what I want for Dear Mom. I know that there's a need out there, and but we do need support. We do need help. We do need funds to make that happen. And I welcome any business out there that believes in our mission to please come support us, because it's a greater purpose. Like, yes, there's so much out there to support the children with disabilities, but the moms need support, the women need support. We are doing the day-to-day things to raise our children, and we can't forget that. Like, I know how hard my mom worked raising us as a single mom, and now I'm a single mom and I'm doing the hard, and so that's why my heart goes out to women and supporting women, because we can't forget about them. We can't just say, oh, they've got it. As women, we can carry so much on our shoulders. Well, no, no, it's okay that we don't have it. And it's okay to get support. And I'm going to make a space where there is support. So I really encourage all the businesses out there, like, whether it's like the huge brands or corporation, or if you want to be part of something that is growing and is important, supporting women and special needs moms, this is it. So um, you could head over to our website, dearmomco.com, and you can donate there. You can get involved by being a sponsor, like an event sponsor at our conference, to help us like cover costs, to help us support more moms and sponsor moms to be able to attend. So we also have options to sponsor a mom or sponsor 10 moms. I mean, that's an impact that you're making. And it's so important to get that word out there and to spread our mission. So, like, we just supported a mom last year, flew in from Jamaica. I had to write a letter to the embassy, and it was just so incredible. And she reached out again, like, hey, can I be sponsored again this year? And we always have a long wait list of sponsoring moms. And every year I try my hardest, like, to make sure these moms get sponsors. I mean, I even like hit up my family, like, okay, we have to get three more moms off the list, but really though, I would love though to be able to do more than sponsor, the mom, like, instead of just like the ticket, like sponsor the whole thing, like flight and hotel. That would just be incredible. So I'm definitely dreaming big. I'm putting it out there. We need help. We are a woman run organization. We support women raising special needs kids and Down syndrome, neurodiverse needs. That's what Dear Mom is. And anyone out there that would like to be part of our journey and support us, I would be so beyond grateful, because we're growing, and that's my passion. And we're going to grow, and we're going to reach as many moms as we can and build community. And I'm just, like I said, I'm just so honored to be part of this, and it's we're all in this together. There's a group of like amazing women that I love, that you've gotten a chance to also interview, that are super supportive of our organization. And even like the moms that I met on the retreat that sparked Dear Mom, it's like they're a part of Dear Mom. It's all coming like full circle. And that's why I get chills thinking like the Lord had a plan. He had a plan for Rocco, and that message for all these moms that like receive a diagnosis and are unsure. It's like, you, the Lord has a plan for your child and has a plan for you. And it might not be starting an organization. It just might just be showing up in your community and shouting the worth of your child, and sharing that differences are beautiful, and we're all unique. There's not one person that's alike in this entire world. Like, Kate, there's only one you, there's only one me. I'm like, how spectacular is that? And there's only one Rocco. So let's start like, celebrating that and encouraging that. And yeah.
You're amazing. I'm getting choked up here just like thinking about the power of the work that you're doing. And for moms, just to be, you're exactly right. It's like, you know, the little things that we do, we don't necessarily have to start a nonprofit or start a podcast. It's like just living our lives. We can be a one girl revolution, right? We can change the
Yeah.
world just by advocating even for our own children. And I was thinking about my own mom who was, yeah, she was amazing. And like, she was advocating for her kids before the time of like Google and like doing research about like different people have heard me talk about it on the podcast, like doing research about like what was in food. Cause I had terrible eczema, Amy, when I was
Okay.
growing up and have a rare immune deficiency and no doctor could figure it out. My mom was like, figuring it out and advocating. And that is the power of moms, right? That we can
Yes.
advocate for ourselves, we can advocate for our children. And sometimes it's our children. And I know that this is your story too with your children. Sometimes our children are the key that unlocks like who we truly are and like help us
Hmm.
to find that and help us to find that we're stronger than we ever could have imagined, that we're more powerful than we ever could have imagined. We always had that in us, right? But
Right.
sometimes it's these moms, their children are the key that unlocks it. And so many of the women that you and I have shared friendship with, and so many of the women who are a part of Dear Mom, and even the women that are coming for the first time to Dear Mom, that they have that in them. And sometimes they need to be reminded of the strength, the power, the ability that they have to change the world and transform the world through their lives. And I know that's so much of who you are and your story and Dear Mom. And I can't wait to continue to follow everything that you're doing. I will put, like I said, I will put the website, I will put all the social media links. We always say on this podcast that the free and easy way for
Thank you.
anyone to advocate is just to share. Because even if somebody's listening and they're like, well, I'm not a mom, we all know moms. And so they could share it, and you never know who in your friend group or who of your followers might need to know that this community exists. And yeah, I can't wait to see where you go from here. I can't wait to
Thank
continue to
you.
support and follow. We will, of course, promote wherever the second location is
Thank you.
once you announce it, and we'll
Yes.
continue to follow and continue to support the work that you're doing in any way that we possibly can.
Thank
Um,
you. And a quick note, Dear Mom
yeah.
is also open to the caregivers that support the mom, which I think is really important too. So they have like an understanding, so also they feel supported as well. And I appreciate you sharing all of this and helping us like spread our mission. Like it's just to be on One Girl Revolution is just an honor.
Well, you are a one girl revolution, and all of the mamas who are a part of Dear Mom, they are one girl revolutions.
They
And
are.
I think it's so important for women to find that within them and say, like, oh, I'm changing the world every single day, even
Yeah.
just by breathing, right? And just by being
Yeah,
who you were created
even
to be.
even just by like, even I share with the moms, like, even by you just like showing up in the playground and talking with other kids that maybe like have like a look on their face, like, oh, I see that, they have this look of like, oh, that kid is different. And even just teachable moments, like, and showing up. And inclusion isn't hard. These are moms that like are paving the way and like making changes like within their community, within their schools, within their state, nationally. But even just like I said, just showing up and being a part of the community with their child, they're making an impact. And that's a really important message.
Amy, you are a one girl revolution, and that's why I wanted to have you on this podcast. But who is a one girl revolution in your life? Who is a woman or girl that inspires you?
Oh wow, there are so many. Okay, I'm gonna have to say two, okay?
Great, you're allowed
And
to.
the
And
second
I
is
know that all
multiple.
of the moms, like I'm already thinking about all the women that you know. I'm like, they're all one girl revolutions, but shout out your two.
They are. They really, really are. One stands out to me. Her name is Ryan Wall. She's a dear friend of mine. She's a local that lives in Laguna Beach. She has a brother with Down syndrome. And we found each other, when she found out that, we had a son with Down syndrome in Laguna Beach, which was like, oh my gosh, it's so exciting when you meet other families. She has been an incredible support for Dear Mom, incredible support for Dear Mom, and also friend and also mentor as well. She has brought the community, Laguna Beach, like she's brought awareness to our community, like, hey, there's this incredible organization that supports special needs moms, and near and dear to my heart because I have a brother with Down syndrome. Let's rally around this mom. Let's rally around Amy and let's support this incredible organization. And you guys, she's bringing a national conference to our hometown. We need to support her. And that was, in the beginning, it was hard for me to, ask for support. And she helped show me that, hey, Amy, it's okay. That's your role now. You gotta ask for support, and it's okay. And if you don't ask, you won't receive. And she helps organize our biggest fundraiser of the year, our 321 fundraiser on World Down Syndrome Day, which is now changed to a ride to raise awareness. And we have this incredible mom. Her name is Stephanie, and she has a business with station bikes, Vessel, Laguna Beach. Love her so much as well. And she hosts her space, and we have, you know, men, women come in, they purchase a bike and they're riding. We have businesses that sponsor a bike, and then we go over to Laguna Beach Beer Company. They've been so gracious to sponsor our lunch. And then we end up having like speakers come in, self-advocate speakers, to share about raising awareness. And we have businesses that like bring like items to like raffle off. And it's just she's a part of that. She helps us. She's a big part of why Dear Mom is here. When you know um if we're talking about a woman, I also have, so many other people that, including my parents, that have been so incredibly supportive of the organization. Another reason why Dear Mom is here. But Ryan has really stepped up, and just her heart is so in it. And I'm so inspired by her. She also supports women with her skincare line by Karas, and she is doing it also in her space, and she's also like brought that over into Dear Mom, and with her givings. And so she's an inspiration to me. And my second is just the Dear Mom community. So there's, like I said, it's just all of them. It's all of these incredible moms. They inspire me. They're out there every day advocating. They're out there every day, like doing the hard. They're out there every day shouting the worth of their children, and they're doing it with grace, and they're holding their head up high, and they're not stopping, and they inspire me. And I just love, I'm gonna get choked up. I love her. I love our community, and I'm so grateful to be part of it.
I'm so grateful to know you and know so many of the mamas, but like it's just the power of when one woman says yes. Oh, surrounded by a couple of others that say yes as well, and just what can be possible, when we all come
Yes.
together. And your community is very similar to this community, where I always say that every single woman and girl that I encounter through this podcast, or even just people send me stories all the time, where they're like,
Yeah.
oh, this person. And we believe that every single woman and girl is a one girl revolution, but there's only a certain amount of episodes that we can be putting out, and a certain amount of time. And so we're choosing stories, but that doesn't mean that anyone's story is more important than someone
Right.
else's. But what I love so much about your community that's similar to me and our community here is every single woman and girl that I encounter, every conversation that I have, I'm changed by it, right? I learned something. And I know that that's your experience as well, that you've learned so much from every single woman that is a part of the Dear Mom community, and other people that are connected, like you said, other supporters. It's not just
Right.
women, but our communities obviously are focused on women and girls, and we need more spaces like this. And so again, I just want to encourage everybody who's listening to find whatever way that they feel like they can support you and support your work and support this community of moms who so many are forgotten about, right? I think that one thing that's always on my heart is forgotten about populations. And so often mamas get forgotten about. And so you're really creating this space to elevate their voices, elevate their stories. That's what I love about the Dear Mom letters, you know, that these women are saying, girl, I see you. Like, I see what you're doing and I see your value. I see your purpose. Just as much as we're saying that about all of the children who are connected to Dear Mom.
Yes, yes, yes.
So
100%.
I will put the website, obviously, all the social media,
Thanks.
Amy. But before I let you go, I always end this podcast on one question. So I'd like to ask you, if you could leave women and girls around the world with one message, what would it be?
You are seen, you are worthy. Your story matters. You are loved. And surround yourself with people that encourage you and uplift you and support you, because that makes a difference. And just that whatever you do does matter and can make a difference. And yeah,
Amy,
I don't know.
you are,
I don't know if that
that
sounded
was
good or not.
amazing. That was beautiful. Amy, you were
I think I stuttered.
oh my gosh, no, you sounded perfect. That was so beautiful. And Amy, you are such an example of those words. And so I'm so grateful to know you. I'm so grateful to have had you on the One Girl Revolution podcast. Thank you for everything that you do. And thank you for everything that you are.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Kate, for starting this and for having me on this podcast. It's a true honor.
And I can't wait to see. I feel like there might be a collaboration at some point. So we got to keep
Yes,
talking and
yes. And
scheming about
you,
that.
yes, you need to come to Dear
Oh,
Mom.
girl, I need
Yes,
to. I need to.
yes, you do.
1,000%. For more from One Girl Revolution, to listen to all of our podcast episodes, watch our Emmy-nominated documentary series, follow us on social media, donate to our nonprofit organization, and more, please visit onegirlrevolution.com. That's the number onegirlrevolution.com.